Hello folks, welcome to episode 2 of FIL-AM Love Story. Tonight we're with Marsha and Todd. Hi Todd, hi Marsha.
Hello there.
Hey, Kevin.
How's it going?
So Todd, where are you from?
Here, South Carolina.
Marsha, where are you from?
From Quezon City, Philippines.
Oh, very good. How did you first meet?
Oh boy, that's an interesting story. The best way to say it is Thanksgiving potluck
Thanksgiving potluck.
at my coworkers, two of which are Filipinos. One of them brought leche flan to the potluck, and I love leche flan. I'm a sucker for it. So I had some of that and talked to the woman who made it later, and she was married, and so I said, if you have a sister who is single and can cook like that, please let me know. And then the other Filipina who was sitting across from her poked her head out, said, Todd, do you want to marry a Filipina? And I was like, well, I'd like to marry a woman, doesn't have to be a Filipina. And she's like, give me a day. And so the next day,
Oh no, it was Thanksgiving. Before we came over here in the U.S., we were assigned already to our respective host parents, and one of the host parents was his co-worker. So it was Thanksgiving, and we were house hopping. We went to different houses of these host parents, and the last stop was was where his co-worker was a friend of the owner of the house. And so she pulled me aside and asked me, hey Marsha, do you have a boyfriend? And I told her, no Tita, I don't have a boyfriend. So by the way, Tita is like a common name for a Filipina, Latino. Even if they're not a family, we still call them Tita. And so what else did she ask me? Are you interested to meet an American? And I said, yeah, sure. I was just joking. I didn't know that it was for real. And then, do you have a picture with you? And I told him, hey, Tita, if I had known that you're going to be asking for a picture, I could have brought my portrait with me. But I was not serious about it because I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I know she's going to be true to her word that she's going to introduce somebody to me. And so days passed. And then I saw her again, and I told her, Tita, here's my picture. And so she said, okay, I'm gonna give it to him. But it's so funny because when we exchange messages through email, it would go through first to Tita, and then Tita will forward it to me. And then when I reply, I'm gonna send it to Tita, and Tita will forward it
we
to
were
her.
not allowed to contact each other directly.
You got a chaperone.
Yeah.
Yes.
An e-chaperone, yes.
And then Tita sent me a picture of him, and I was like,
You.
oh, he's tall and he's a big guy. I was like, wait. So, but I still said yes when Tita told me that before we leave to take our vacation to the Philippines in December, I'm gonna set you up for a date with him, and then you gotta let me know what happened. And so we did. That was the first time I saw him.
Right. And we went on a date to a sushi bar, and I sat and listened while she talked. And I learned a lot about her. Turns out that we both have backgrounds in education. I did a small stint teaching at a college, and she was a longtime teacher at UST. And that gave us some common ground. And then after the date, I took her to meet her friends, who were all interested in meeting me, over at what used to be called Jillian's, which was a kind of a pool ball.
Right?
It was in the Vista.
Was it in Vista?
Yeah, and it's a pool hall, dance area, and bar, just kind of all over. And so took her there. They stayed and sang karaoke, and I went home. And I thought, okay, it was nice. I probably won't ever see her again, but she was cute. And because she told me she's going to go to San Diego. Fast forward to that. San Jose, sorry.
For my aunt.
Yeah. And so after all that, she went over to there, stay with her aunt. And then I was surprised when I got a call back saying that she'd like to meet me when she got back. And that was really the beginning of the courtship, was that second date.
We went out again.
How long were you dating prior to marriage?
Let's see. Yeah, we met in late 07, so I proposed in late 08.
It was Father's Day. It was so funny because he knows that, I mean, my in-laws know that I'm going back home to the Philippines for a vacation. And it's so funny, my mother-in-law was running to their room and then she was holding this box. God, give this to Marsha. It was the engagement.
Just kind of spoiled the whole thing.
It was the engagement.
My grandmother's engagement ring was held for me to use to propose to her. And they're like, hurry, do it.
I might back out, but it was Mom who told Todd, hey, Todd, give this to Marsha.
And so I proposed. Fortunately, she said yes. And then the very first thing we did after that was go to Tita Del and Tito Sam's house.
Yeah, they were my host parents.
Her host parents.
And they were like my parents here.
Yeah, and if you've ever heard an air raid siren, the squeal of joy from Tita Del when she saw that engagement ring was about on the same level of noise.
One thing nice about it is, I know, Tita Del liked him really a lot, so it was like, okay, so it's
I had seal of approval.
It's a good decision.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
she got along well with my parents. My parents loved her. And, because before they're like, oh, we've heard all these things about all these people who go on these internet websites to find a Filipina, and then they send thousands of dollars and they never get anything back. It's like, well, Mom, I met her here in the U.S. She is not a scam artist.
And they finally know more about the Philippines ever since we met. They're up to date with whatever is happening. And then whenever we have typhoon back home, they would always ask me, hey Marsha, how's your family? Even if the typhoon is like in another province, they would always ask me. And then that's one of the reasons why I know Todd is the best choice. I mean, I've waited for so long. And so I know when I met his family, his parents and his family, they're a small family anyway. They're really great. They're very kind. Aside from,
That's
he's
good.
really intelligent and he's a cutie, right?
Joseph!
Oi,
Oi.
oi, buddy. Sorry, bossing.
Did you have trouble with the visa process?
The visa process wasn't standard to what most of the other people that you probably talked to have gone through, because she was brought here on a J1 visa as a worker. So she was
Teacher exchange.
Yeah, she was not here on a tourist visa or a fiancé visa. So she was a legal resident in the United States when we met. And so we had to go through the process of getting married to initiate a transition from a J1 visa, which had a restriction on how long you could stay. You were required to go back to the Philippines after a certain amount of time and stay for a mandatory minimum before you could re-enter the United States. To make sure that didn't happen, and I didn't see her for years, we had to get married before her visa expired and then begin the green card process right away. So yeah, it was atypical compared to those who have a fiancé visa, marry in the Philippines, or bring over and marry here in the U.S., because she was here by her own means. We just happened to meet here in the U.S.
Yeah. That was the plan. I'm just gonna. It's always difficult to come over here in the U.S. Like when you apply for a visa, there's very little chance that you're gonna get a visa to enter here. So it was a challenge, and then I had the opportunity to come here as a teacher. And my plan really was to finish the contract for 3 years and then go back home. But then, of course, everything changed when I met him and then we got married. But it wasn't easy because we're supposed to get married in April. That's a date on our ring, but we have to move it back in December.
Advice of
so we
council.
celebrate 3 anniversaries. The one on our ring, our civil wedding in August, and then the church wedding in December. So every 4 months we celebrate.
They get costly in anniversary gifts.
No, we don't give anniversary gifts.
Our love for each other is our anniversary.
Kevin, I'm a very practical person. A gift card is always good. Because he knows, he would ask, because sometimes he knows that I'm very practical.
Some people have GoFundMe. She just says go to Kohl's.
No.
So, Todd, how is life being married to a Filipina?
Oh, it's been an interesting challenge in the beginning, because being a bachelor for 40 years, essentially, and then marrying into another culture was it's a big shift in give and take, dealing with an American versus a Filipino culture at the same time, and dealing with the fact that we're not two very young people who have all the time in the world to say have a family and do this and that. We're older to start with, and while we don't regret the amount of time it took for us to meet, there are certain milestones that we didn't meet simply because of our age, and so we just took it day by day.
Yeah, I would always tease him. Wife begins at 40.
Yeah.
We really got married late.
Yeah.
I don't have any
I was
plans.
40 when we got married, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay being single.
Yeah.
But when I decided to get married, I know I'm very much ready to go for it.
And I have to tell you one thing, I wasn't sure how well this was going to work during the dating stage, because two things she said to me: I never thought I would date a tall guy, and I never thought I'd date a white guy, and I'm a tall white guy, so.
And a foreigner.
And a foreigner, yeah. So I had the
things.
three strikes
Uh-huh.
right there.
And then I ended up with him.
Somehow I managed to stick around, right?
Yeah, and how about you, Marsha? How's life being married to an American?
It was not that hard.
Not that hard?
Not that hard. Because he's very kind and his family is really good.
Yeah.
And as I have told you, I'm really ready to get married. I'm done with being single.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Now,
it wasn't that hard.
this is called FIL-AM Love. You folks have a different aspect, an additional aspect, I should say. You've brought Marsha's family to live with you.
Correct.
So that's a broader example of the FIL-AM Love.
There was a story behind it. So when we got married, I told my parents back home, so there's 4 of them, my mama, my papa, my sister, and my aunt, to come over and join us for the wedding. So they applied for a tourist visa. They were denied. All 4 of them were denied. And then we tried again. Only this time it's my mama and my papa. And they were denied again.
And this is after Senator Graham reached out directly to, at the time, Secretary of State Clinton, to see if they could vouch for my in-laws. And the people at the embassy in the Philippines said, we don't care who sent this email on your behalf. We're not going to let you
At
in.
least vouch that they will go back home as soon as the wedding
They
is
were
over.
they didn't say it, but they were afraid that they were going to go TNT the moment they came into the U.S.
That they will not go back home. And then I would always ask my parents, "Oh, do you want to apply again for a tourist visa?" And then they said, "No, it's just a waste of money. We're going to be denied again.
Pass or
So we'll
fail,
just
pay."
wait." And so I did my duty to become an American citizen. And then right after that, I made it a point that I start with the petition for my parents.
Right.
It took a while also. It took a year because I was so kind of lazy to finish. There's a lot of documents to fill out. And it's times 2 because I have my mama and my papa. But it's all worth it.
Right.
And then he is the one who petitioned them, actually.
And the thing is that when we went through her J1 conversion to a green card, we got the assistance of an attorney to get that part done. And hello, Attorney Texan, if you see this out
He's really good.
in Alexandria, Virginia. But when we decided to go through her
Green
process
card,
of getting green card
to American citizenship,
to citizenship, we did that on our own. And in fact, she got so good at it that she's actually counseled others
I'm just
on how to
telling
do the
them.
paper. She didn't fill out the paperwork, but she's like, okay,
They have questions.
don't worry, this paperwork is simple, just go step by step. And she walked them through it, and they provided their own information, filled it out, and they were surprised it really did work.
It wasn't that
Right.
it wasn't that difficult for as long as you follow
Right, you just have to dot your I's and cross your T's.
the procedure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming here and for joining us in the program. And have a good night.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kevs.
Cute.
Pa-cute.
Skiddy ka na.
Skiddy.